if you talk to any high performer, they've hired a life coach or a business coach or a health coach at some point in their life. They may not be actively engaged in one, but they have worked with one at some point. They absolutely have. And the reason for that is because there is a point in all of our lives where we feel like while we are doing great, or we might be doing okay, we can do better. And that unlock happens through coaching, and self-coaching, life coaching, health coaching, business coaching, whatever different coaching elements you could take. The reason for adaptability to be a little bit less is because of the accessibility is a little bit less. It's not easy to find a life coach. It's not easy to find a business coach. It's not easy to find a health coach. And even if you can find one, there is no way for somebody to know if this person's the right person for me. So it's a little bit harder for a person to kind of engage in a conversation. And so right now, it's more of coaches going out in the world and saying, hey, this is what I have to offer as a result to you. We should talk, right? So the coach is making the effort to engage a client. What will happen is at a point, the scales will tip, because the coaching would have got enough momentum in the world outside that people will go, where can I find a coach, right? And there are some places you can find a coach or you can work with a coach, but usually what happens is the tendency of coaching right now, because of the newness of coaching, is that coaching is done very in a really basic format, which is, let's say, like if anybody is an accredited ICF coach, like for example, which is one of the accrediting bodies, or EMCC and so forth, which are all great organizations, the way to become a coach through these bodies or get accredited through these bodies is really basic coaching skills, like be present, ask deep meaningful questions, active listening, which is all great to some degree. But what happens is there's a point in everybody's life where, yes, you can reflect and find the answer within yourself, but there's a gap in education itself. Like, I don't know what I don't know, right? I haven't been exposed to certain ideas. While I can find the problems by reflecting, I can't find solutions by reflecting. I need to be educated on it. So coaching is also finding its new models, like the coaching models that we teach in EverCoach, in our certified life coach program, is a little bit more evolved. It doesn't only focus on, hey, here's reflection, and the fundamental skills are taught first, that you absolutely need to know how to listen actively. You absolutely need to know how to maintain presence, how to ask deep, meaningful questions and open-ended questions and so forth. We teach all of that. But then we top it up by saying, here are 4 different areas that you need to bring somebody's attention to in case they're struggling.
Wow.
Right? And so it's not only focused on, here is some fundamentals and just deal with these fundamentals and bring it to the world and keep practicing these fundamentals. They're great. And you need to bring education to the world as well, because people just don't know what they don't know. And psychology, philosophy, biology, even spirituality has evolved so much that there is no reason for us to contain ourselves into that little box that was once discovered to keep coaching as a career safe, which is what really a setup organization does. Anything that becomes generalized is basically generalized or created for the norm. It's for the average, not for the extraordinary, not for the high performer. And that right now, people who are hiring coaches tend to be extraordinary, tend to be high performers, because we are in the early adopter stage. Soon enough, everybody will want a life coach, health coach, business coach. It's already trending that way, but it'll become more and more trending. And then, yes, you can settle for an average coach, right? But right now, if you're a coach, you want to be extraordinary, because the person you'll be working with will be an extraordinary person.
And in order for you to help your clients receive those extraordinary results, you yourself need to be working on your own extraordinariness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you have to be working on yourself, because you can only guide someone to as far as you've guided yourself. Yeah. So I actually want to hear more about your certified life coaching program. I know you created your own methodology. How did you design this methodology, and how does it differ from other life coaching methodologies?
So one thing that we realized when we were studying coaching methodologies around the world, and we were studying coaching methodologies that are very popular, coaching methodologies that are less popular, because we as an organization believe coaching is a skill everybody should have. Like, it's not something that we think is reserved as a career. We think coaching should be available to everyone. Everybody should have that skill, because it's a very practical skill that can actually help you live a better life, period. And so we said, okay, what is it, or what is in the marketplace that is the most holistic, powerful methodology? And we found some that were decent methodologies. Usually, a coaching methodology engages the mind, and that's it. They go, oh, here is mindset, let's do the mindset work. And that's usually most coaching methodologies that are out there. And then we realized that everybody charges an insane amount of money
Right.
for it, right? They're like, oh, you want to become a coach? Here is your offer. It's $18,000 and I'm going to work with you for a year. And all I'm going to teach you is how to change your mindset. And I was like, yes, and it's kind of unreasonable for the rest of the world sometimes, right? Maybe some people in America can afford it. That also is, I'm like, $18,000 for a skill that should be available to everyone and should be accessible to everyone seems unfair to me. Right. And so we found all these different certifications, nothing to beat down on them, but we just felt it was incomplete. Right. So we said, A, it's overpriced, and B, it's incomplete. So we said, what is it that we can do? And so we reached out, did the partnership with Mind Valley and said, hey, listen, we know because of the amount of volume we can drive because of this partnership between Mind Valley and EverCoach, we can reduce the price dramatically.
Yep.
Right. Because we can make it really accessible because we can do volume. Because there's cost of product, cost of production, cost of delivery, all of that. It's kind of like, when you do volumes, you can reduce the price. Right. So we were like, hey, if we partner, we can do volume. And if we do volume, we can reduce the price dramatically and make this skill accessible to more and more people. Right. So that was the first thing that we did. We said, let's reduce the price. And then we said, we need to find the best methodology or create the best methodology that is possible. So I partner up with my business partner, Vishen, who's also very successful as a mentor, as a trainer, as a teacher, and said, let's co-create something that I have tested with my life coaching clients and my business coaching clients, and what you have tested in mass audiences, like in big groups, thousands of people doing it together. And so we integrated two different approaches. And the approach is that if you want to be an effective life coach, you cannot just talk about psychology and mindset.
Right.
That's okay. Yes, it's a part of it, but it's not complete. It's not holistic. Fundamental of a great life coach is they understand philosophy, right? They understand and they have a philosophical approach to take on life, right? And if you don't have a strong philosophical approach, all psychology is going to fall apart because you don't have a foundation that actually holds that psychology, right? And so you will always keep challenging your psychology and never end the loop, right? So you're not going to get the result. You'll always feel like it's not enough, right? But you have a strong philosophy of how to hold the psychology piece. Now you can work on the psychology, right? So you start with philosophy, and I'll explain what these philosophies are as well. So the first foundation is you need to understand philosophy, right? The second thing is psychology, which is what we talked about, right? You need to work on your mindset. You need to figure out how to really process all those things that happen in your mind at any given time, your emotions and everything, right? But it doesn't stop there, because guess what is one of the most important part is of a person when they are going out in the world? They're operating in this world with their body. Right.
So that was the piece that was missing.
That is another piece that is missing. Philosophy is missing too. In most of the coaching methodologies, there's no philosophy. People don't even talk about philosophy, right? They only talk about psychology most of the time because they think that's the container of life coaching. But life's not just your mind. Life is your body, is your habits, is your behavior on a day-to-day basis. And so if you don't work on the container, the content you can change as much you want. If your container is going to fall flat, right? If you are dysregulated bodily, no amount of mindset work is going to help you. If you feel tired day in, day out, because let's say you have, and I'm hypothesizing, let's say you have gluten allergy and you just love bread and you keep eating it and you have no energy, good luck with your mindset work. It's not going to happen because you're just tired all the time, right? So you got to work on your body. You got to understand biology. And by biology, I'm not saying you need to be a medical student. You need to understand how your body and biology works. And lastly, which is kind of a little bit tricky, and we cover a little bit of it, but we don't go full deep into it, spirituality. We all know there's something greater than us.
Yes.
We can't scientifically prove it yet. And so we resist it. We kind of go, oh, it's like tricky. Like, I don't know if there is God, there is no God, if there is universe, no universe. We kind of debate all of that stuff, right? And that's okay to debate, but we all know there is something. So how do we lean into this unknown, unconscious, but really powerful infinite self or infinite universe that we can tap into? And that's our final protocol, final kind of concept or the pillar that we work on, which is spirituality. Is how do we lean into that purpose that we talk about? How do we tap into that infinite universe and tap into greater intuition and alignment and drive and be driven instead of, or be guided instead of guiding everything in our lives? How do we go beyond psychology and lean into that ultimate spirituality? So these are 4 pillars that we believe creates a holistic life coach. And that's what we are really aiming to create and work with when somebody joins us in the program.
So I have so much to say about this. First, I want to say I love that you guys have really incorporated the body. I will openly say this. I used to be one of those coaches that would say, strategy without your mind being right is pointless, right? Mm-hmm. And I still agree with that. I do think you need to get your mind right, but only in the past 2 years, and I will openly admit this, have I been really focused on that nervous system regulation. And because I've been so focused on what keeps me feeling calm inside, what keeps me feeling safe, I'm actually able to hear God speak to me through my body. And I have no problem using the word God. I don't have like triggers around the word God or a higher power or anything, but I feel more creative. I feel like my creativity moves through me more effortlessly, like without all this junk in my head about is this right or wrong, because I started tuning in to my body. Like I've been doing this for 11 years, and only in the past 2 years have I truly looked at my nervous system. Like I've always been someone who works out and takes care of the physical form, but the inside, the inner workings, like I really just want your listeners, your audience to hear this. Is like, you can have all the mindset, you can have all the strategy, but if you're in a constant state of anxiety, it doesn't matter how much strategy you have. If you don't trust yourself, if you are not having that relationship with something greater than yourself, you're going to have to feel like you have to do all of it on your own instead of surrendering to a higher power.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that integration is so very important. It's so ignored in any training a lot of the times. But the reason why we love that we can integrate this is because we have 4 months with you. Yeah. It would be very difficult if it was a 2-week program or a 4-week program, because it's really hard to cover these really big topics in that short period of time. But because we have 4 months with you, we can really take a deep dive, and we talk every single week. And that's where we can really get into that the juiciness that is required for us to like holistically impact your life. And it starts with the person. What we've found, we have about 500 testimonials for this program right now that we've recorded. These are recorded testimonials that are on video or text, and so on and so forth, that you can see on the website. 500 people endorse this program by actually writing a testimony for this program. There's something that we track called Net Promoter Score, which is basically if you took the program, I would send you a notification at the end of the program saying, how likely are you on a scale of 1 to 10 to recommend this program to your friend. And a median average of that is taken. There's about 85 is the NPS score out of 100. That's how you calculate it. The only other product in the world that surpasses 85 is Tesla cars, which is 91.
Wow.
Right. That's how even iPhone is 61 or 62 at this point. So that's how many people say, I love this program so much, I would recommend this to a friend. And that's kind of what we are really trying to create, is the transformation that happens for the person first. And then once you've had that transformation, all those things that we think about, confidence, courage, all those, it's so fast to fix.
Yes.
You fix it so fast, you move really further. And if you want to coach, you go out and coach. But if you're a business leader, for example, you're so much better as a business leader. If you are somebody who is a parent, you're so much better as a parent. If you're finding it hard to understand your partner, take the program, because you will understand your partner so much better.
Yes. I love that y'all have a body first, business second approach. That's what I'm really getting, right? Because a lot of people join coaching programs and they're like, oh, I want to build this business. And it's like, no, like we need to work on your mind. We need to work on your philosophy and your body. So would you say that life coaching training is only useful for people who want to be coaches? Or what are your thoughts on using life coaching skills? I know you've touched on this a little bit, but what are your thoughts on using these skills outside of the realm of coaching to improve one's life and one's career?
So what we found is about 50% of people who take the program with us don't actually want to coach. They take the program because of the value that they see of transformation they will experience as they go through the program. So they're actually not taking the program at all to ever go out and coach in the world. But what they understand is if they have a greater understanding of something, they can create transformation on top of it for everywhere in their life. It's like saying, if I was to do Legos, right? Would it be better that you bought the Lego already assembled? And would you be able to use it more effectively? Or would you be able to use more effectively if you knew exactly how to build it, right?
The second.
And if you build it yourself, right? What we're giving you is the Lego bricks. So you can create whatever structure you want to create out of it, because all of us are so unique as people that yes, some programs will give you some overarching information, but once you understand how to navigate based on who you are and tweak the tools, tweak the strategies, tweak the system for your benefit, for your goals, for your intentions, for the life that you want to create, you are so much more well set to create the life and live the life that you want to live, like starting as soon as today.
Yes.
Right? And that's really what we aim to with this program, is to not only give you this, here is this thing and this is the only way of doing things. We give you exactly how to build your own model on top of what we give you as a foundational philosophical, psychological, emotional, bodily, and spiritual understanding.
You're helping people tap into their own inner coach, right? Because a lot of people join these coaching programs, they want to help and inspire, motivate other people, but you got to be that for yourself first, because otherwise it's just going to feel like a show. It's just going to feel like a show. So I actually love that you said that, like 50% of the people that go through, they use all these skills for themselves to improve their lives. And when you improve your life, you're going to have a ripple effect on all those people around you.
Yeah.
Right? I would love to know, and I'm going to share one as well. What's one simple coaching tool that you can share to help someone who is future tripping, or like always worrying about the future? I always say like future faking or like future tripping. You're just tripping out about the future. What's one simple coaching tool that you can offer?
So one of the tools that we teach in the psychology part, and I'm showing that first because that's the easiest one for people to grapple onto, is at any given time, we have multiplicity of thinking that's happening in our minds, and multiplicity of thoughts that are in our mind. We are thinking not just one thought. So when you are taking and you're thinking, oh, I'm getting anxious about the future, or I'm tripping about the future, it's actually the thought we chose. It's not the only thought you had. There were many thoughts you had. You chose the thought that was the most convenient at any given time. It's called firing and wiring of your neuron brains. They just automatically choose the path that you've always chosen. It could have happened because of, as a child, you were always neurologically choosing something to keep you safe. And so here you choose the path about, hey, future is going to suck. So, this is just a way to keep ourselves safe. That's all it is, right? So that's economy is gonna be bad. Oh, that's a way for us to feel safe right now in this moment, because we can go, oh, now I need to protect my money or whatever I need to do. So fear, while may feel like is something we don't want, our mind actually likes it because it keeps us safe and keeps us into the bounds of where it is. And so our mind so we don't go out and do things that seem a little bit scary, right? Or a little bit different than the natural programming of our mind. So at any given time, you have multiplicity of thoughts. There are many thoughts that you're choosing, you could choose from, but the one that you choose is the safest thought. And that's where you have the challenge of, or the observance of, am I choosing an empowered thought or a disempowered thought? Disempowered thought is any thought that is not helpful in the immediate or long-term future for you, right? And an empowered thought is something that you can logically, rationally, in control say, well, this is going to be more helpful to you or helpful to me in that direction. The first thing that we have to do to be able to use this tool is to have the understanding and the presence to say that this is what is happening in my mind right now. Like, for example, somebody who's future tripping, to not just keep future tripping, but actually go, oh shit, I am future tripping.
Yes.
That's the first step. First step is to go awareness. And that's something that we show in the program how to do. But you get aware to what, oh, that's what's happening for me right now. I am tripping on my future. I'm just creating this reality that does not exist, right? And I'm choosing a disempowered thought, because if I choose to think that economy is going to suck, I'm going to lose my job, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to act from fear. I'm going to not take action. I'm going to feel like it's anyways going to be hell anyway, so what's the point? I'm going to start operating from a place of fear. It's not going to help me and create a more effective future. Let's say economy is going to go to shit. Let's say you will lose your job. But that's not helping you save the job or create a new job or create a new career out of it. You're just simply tripping on what's really bad already, or your mind has decided that it'll be bad already. What if we chose a different thought, right? Because we have the option, right? And if you give yourself the presence, so that's the thought I chose, you can challenge, what is the other thought that could happen? Let's assume the scenario is true, right? Economy is going bad. Sorry about that. Let's assume the scenario is true. Economy is going bad. Okay, so let's draw out that scenario. Economy is going to be bad. People are going to lose jobs. People are going to look for other ways to make money. I can look for other ways to make money. What are the things that I could possibly learn right now while I do have my job that will give me the skill of the future? Same circumstance, different choice of thinking.
Different choice of thinking. I was going to add to that exact same thing. what has worked for me, anytime I notice myself worrying about the future, that I'll say to myself, first of all, I'll say that thought out loud, because when I say it out loud, then I can actually hear it and say, is this actually true? Do I want to keep thinking this thought? So I will actually say outside, I will actually say out loud, I'm worried about not bringing in enough money next month, right? Mm-hmm. I will actually say that. And then, so I ask myself, what is the worst case scenario? Mm-hmm. And I will walk myself through the worst case scenario. And I'll ask myself, would I be able to handle that? Yeah, I'd be able to handle that, mm-hmm. right? And then I ask myself, what's the best case scenario? And I'm like, best case scenario is that I bring in this much and I'm having fun doing it and it's exciting and I'm like, okay, I want to operate from that place, because we can choose our thoughts. But like you said, first step is we have to notice when we're in that spiral, because when we're future tripping, it feels so real and it feels so necessary. It's like, mm-hmm. I need to worry about this so that I can stay safe and protect myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to give an example of a scenario which mm-hmm. happened recently, literally like yesterday or 2 days before. And I'm sharing this because I am human like anybody else, right? So like somebody else can trip on a future or a present scenario, mm-hmm. so can I. So what happened was we just came back from Chicago a couple of days ago. And as we came back, my wife is right in the mode of doing her book launch. Mm-hmm. So she has a lot of activities planned that she has to go for. And sometimes, because of all the stuff that's happening in her life, she forgets to inform me that something's happening. Right? So as we come back, Monday evening, she had a podcast. Tuesday evening, she had some activities she had to go for. Wednesday evening, she had some activities she had to go for. And I was left with the kids. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why am I watching kids every evening? Mm-hmm. Which is fine. I love my kids.
Yes.
But at the same point in time, I'm like, I didn't plan. Like I don't have an agenda for my kids, which if I don't have an agenda, it becomes really scattered. It's scattered, and my kids don't enjoy it either. They just say, okay, then we'll watch TV, and I don't want to do that. I want to be a present dad. And so I have to figure out the activity last minute, and it was getting me really frustrated. And so frustrated that I started thinking, well, Neeta doesn't want to be a mom.
Oh, wow.
Right. That's the story that I first started with. I was like, she just doesn't want to take responsibility of the kids. And so that's why she just plans these things and she doesn't have to plan these things and so forth. And I asked myself that, and I was tripping on it for maybe like 3 hours, right? Or 2 hours or something like that. And then I said, but is that true? Is that true? And then I was like, oh, I'm in my trip. I'm in my trip. Like I'm creating this story without talking to the person, without talking to the situation, without actually evaluating the situation. I'm just creating the story. So I said, okay, is that true? Mm-hmm. The answer was clearly not. I mean, mm-hmm. she's an amazing mother to her kids and so on, to our kids and so forth. And so like, okay, so what is it that may be happening? And what is it that I need in the situation, mm-hmm. right? What is it that is my desire that is being unfulfilled, or mm-hmm. my need that is not being met, that may be leading me to have this emotion right now, right? And so my question was, is that true? The answer is no. Then I said, okay, what is another option, whatever a thought pattern that I could have? And the other thought pattern, I was like, well, maybe she was just so busy mm-hmm. that she just forgot to inform. So she just needs to be brought to the awareness of mm-hmm. that, hey, love, we can totally do this. I love my kids. I love hanging out with them. I just need a mm-hmm. notification so I can plan something mm-hmm. so I can actually have fun with them mm-hmm. instead of feeling like, oh, I'm going to come up with something last minute, and I have an 18-month-old daughter and a 4-year-old, so they need a little bit different plan. Instead of doing that, I can go, oh, I have a fun day today with fun evening on Wednesday with the kids. So let's mm-hmm. plan something instead of me responding and reacting, and it would give me that space to be able to plan. So would you be open to sharing mm-hmm. when you have something coming up instead of just telling me 3 hours before? Because, I'm at work or I'm doing something, I have my own agenda, so I can make sure that I clear out some schedule or I plan something mm-hmm. or whatever that might be, right? So, and I communicated that, and it was very nice, very comforting. Neeta was like, you're absolutely right. I totally see you, that I should have informed. It was so hectic, I just completely forgot. I'll be more mindful. You know what I'm going to do? Mm-hmm. I'm just going to share that calendar, because on my calendar, what I do, I'll just share it with you. So you know which evenings or which afternoons or which mornings I have a radio interview or a TV, because she's like on radio, TV, podcast all day, every day these days. Like literally today she left for another Tampa thing like that, right? For Tampa for something like that. So she's like always on something because it's the season of her book launch. And so I was like, okay, that's fair. And so suddenly I don't have the trigger. I don't have the challenge. I'm not doubting my wife. But to get to that place, you have to reorganize your thinking structure. You have to reorganize your thought and go, is that true? Mm-hmm. Am I actually believing this to be true? Is there an alternate thought? Could there be an alternate scenario? And if I could find those things, then it's easier for me to lean into a conversation that immediately solves that problem, right? So like you can create a scenario around future. You could create a scenario about something that's happening for you right now in your life, which is actually creating a disconnection between you and the person you love.
Right.
Which is very likely a lot of us, the relationships that separate out are not relationships that fall out of love. They just stop communicating.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest things that we've found recently, like in research, this has been found, is relationships that are separated are not because they're out of love from each other. They just don't communicate anymore. And they just assume things, and they just don't talk about things, and they put it under the rug or whatever. And because of that, of course, one day you wake up to going, oh, I don't love my partner. But that's just not true. How I got out of that mindset was because I went to work out.
Oh, wow.
So I had my trainer scheduled for at like 2:00 or something like that. And so I went, and I was just, grumpy a little bit as I walk in. And as you pick weights, because your mind is silent for a hot second because it's focused on that weight that you're about to pull, you suddenly go, oh crap, I'm stuck in my story. That's what it is. And suddenly, boom, your wheels started turning. And that's why getting out of your body is so important. It could be in many different ways. For me, it was the workout, but it could be dance, it could be movement, it could be breathing, all of these things that we cover inside the program. But there could be many ways to get into your body or feel into your body and kind of get out of that thing that you're in and then reverse it.